Hello everyone. Today I have special guest from Tuscany, from Italy, Olivia Anthony. Hi Olivia, great to see you. Thank you for being part of our community.
Hi, Ed. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. It's a great honor, really.
Yeah, so please share a little bit more about your personal experience, like what brought you to Italy, and let us know more about your background and your story.
Okay. Well, it started really about 20 years ago. I decided to leave New York. I'm from a little town north of New York City, upstate New York, called Goshen, between the Catskills and New York City. And I was studying in New York and paying a fortune to drive down to the city and take voice lessons and doing summer stage and stuff. So I did an audition and I got taken to Italy, and so that was in about 1997. And then in '98, I just decided, I'm going to stay. Did some auditions and started working as a singer. Decided to go to college in Siena, and from there, yeah, I started doing like a private master's degree with an opera singer. It's like as opposed to just going to the local singer in New York, you're actually working with somebody who's on the stage. You can kind of feel the vibration. And so that was really interesting. Probably my voice, to be honest, would have been better had I been on Broadway. I was a dancer and a singer, but I wanted to be in Europe with like-minded people, and I really wanted to speak another language. Before I moved, I think it was like 1998, I was driving back and forth about an hour drive to the GWB and studying Italian in the city because I really, from college, I needed to study Italian for the libretto, for the words, what you have to say. And so that's how I started, actually was able, to come be here and be fluent and speaking with people and also be able to take lessons in Italian, because very many teachers, they didn't speak English. And so yeah, it was really an advantage. And as we're speaking about this, and I know you're, have many languages too, that is so important for anybody in whatever they're doing, especially right now, because we're kind of like in lockdown everywhere around the world, would be to study another language. So without a doubt, that is, how many people, Ed, have you gotten to know because you speak English and Croatian and whatever else you speak? So I think it's so important. So what I'm going to do right now, because you haven't asked me, but I'm going to get better in my French and my German, so that, that'll be another few languages. Anyway, back to the story. So I was doing that, and I had no idea in my late 20s, really how to turn a life's work and passion into a job. And so I got very quickly, sucked up into the system of sort of what they call in Italy, vita loggia, oh, come and sing because you have this type of voice. You can do all this stuff. And, we pay for your whole weekend and your food and, oh, wonderful. And what do but the thing is, I could do it because I had another side job, which we'll get to. That became another like 3 or 4 careers. And so, really, my biggest, how can I say, result wasn't really the arrival, but it was the journey. And something that I'm very passionate about in everything I do, is to try to transmit, to make something seems very distant and far from people, very accessible. And also, and why would somebody want to do that? Because today I teach, is because when you have a passion that you can't live without, you've got to do that no matter what. If you have to work 80 hours a week just to do that one thing, and I know because we just had a conversation about that, you just have to do it. And so what was the best thing that I found in all my studying and singing and being on concert stages and was really, not the perfection, because we're always doing that as musicians. It was the moment when you're doing something, all of a sudden it just clicks and it's beautiful. And you don't really know it, but then there's silence, and it's like, everybody breathes with you. And that's just like, it's a certain vibration that it's unique. in life. And so I still feel it. I even get emotional just telling you about it. And so that is something that I try to transmit in what I do, because it's all a discipline. No matter what you're doing in your job. And so I use that in life because it was a gift that I was able to experience, and so it was part of the journey. What happened is my voice, as I was here, it started changing. So you figure, 15 years I'm studying for coloratura soprano, Queen of the Night, Lakme, and then all of a sudden, my voice is changing. It's getting really deep and evolving, and so I had to change repertoire. So I thought, oh my gosh, oh my goodness. So what am I going to do? So I decided I'm going to take a break and study new repertoire, right? And so during the break, my friends were like, well, you're certainly not going to go back to New York, right? You're going to stay in Siena. And so I said, well, yeah, well, we have a perfect job for you. Okay, well, what? So anyway, long story short, I went and had an interview with this incredible winery. It was like being in Bordeaux or a Côte de Nuit. And I knew about wine. My dad was in the restaurant business when I was little. And so because of that, I got hired because I loved people. I was a performer. I knew how to talk. And so from there, I worked at a winery for about 5 years, and became a sommelier, and started doing wine education. And little by little, I started doing less concerts. So what happens is, I'm sort of like, oh my goodness, music, wine, what do I do? It's like a whole other career. And so what happened is, I got married, I had a baby, my voice changed again. And so at 39, I went to get my master's degree in the conservatory in Turin, got up at 5 a.m. and went sometimes one day and came home at 12 o'clock at night. Had an absolutely amazing experience, something I should have always done. I should have been in, conservatory my whole life. And from there, I studied art song and German lied, Schubert, Schumann, Wolf. And so I do have, well, it doesn't really have any sense. I'll tell you later. I was just going to say, most people probably wouldn't know what lead is, leader. And I just have to say that because I have to give a little something to this beautiful, unique art form, which you probably know very well. Because people ask me that all the time. Well, you're an opera singer, yeah, but my real joy and love and passion is lead. And what's the difference? Well, leader is music that doesn't need words, and the words don't need music. They're both equally as important. Where opera is melodrama, where the music is much more important than the words. Okay? And so that little parenthesis, I had to do that for you. As I was going to the conservatory, I was working as a professional musician with my colleagues, and of course at that very, very, very high level. And so what I didn't realize after that is that you get so in tune of looking at minute details, it really tiniest details. And so that I was bringing that into my other work as I'm looking at people in my work in tourism, which we haven't gotten to yet, and kind of the nuances of people's reaction of foreigners, well, not necessarily foreigners, guests, clients that are traveling here, and so that kind of sensibility helped me in other areas of work. Of course, for when I did that. My master's degree, I did work professionally again as a singer, unbelievably so, for like about 5 years. And I just decided, I've really said all I really want to say musically, like on the stage. For me, it was just like, okay, parenthesis. I don't want it to be that's my passion, that's my love, that's my go-to thing. So I don't want it to be like something that kind of goes like that. I want it to be like, leave it like this. Of course. Listen, when I do have living composers that send me music, and I will do it. So it's not that. That's not my main thing today. And so, as I was a musician and a professional musician, I'm here in Tuscany. And I really started because people would ask me, "Oh, you speak English and Italian. Can you come translate something for me?" Okay. It was actually a friend of mine introduced me to a chef, and he's like, "I really need you to, translate a cooking lesson for me." And so that's really how the other career arrived, even before the winery. I just kind of went on that story to tell you, to kind of fill you in. And so from there, you figure when I was off from singing or whatever I was doing, maybe on the weekend or on an off season, very often I was translating cooking lessons, becoming a chef myself because you're kind of like the assistant. And so that also is another sort of career that I do. And so, living here is, I think, is also about, I don't know if you'll have the same feeling, kind of always reinventing yourself. And so, yeah, I think that's something I've done. It's something I like. I don't think I could have ever been doing just one job my entire life. I kind of like to keep it all something that influences the other thing. It's like you go on vacation, and why do we go on vacation? We want to discover something new to bring home, to be like, and then you miss home. And so that's kind of like, that's how I feel about also my different types of work that I do.
Because we have many musicians and artists, what you mentioned is like you have the discipline, you have your talent, and you like what you do, so that's your passion. And that actually makes you that you can be successful in a different area. I know we spoke before this interview that you also work for some luxury tourism.
What have I been doing recently? I've been doing private cooking lessons. Sometimes people have me travel with them. And I try to create something meaningful, something moving, something authentic, not bringing their American life to Italy, but, kind of saying, okay, we're going to be Italians for a week. That's what I want to do. A cultural immersion, as you know, because you're with me on Facebook and I'm with you. And so that's what I try to do. It's like, well, this is how we really live. And so I try to have them taste the lifestyle. That's what people want. And I especially think after 2019, it's probably that's the year I was so busy. Oh my gosh. COVID arrived. And so, yeah, I haven't had clients for a year. But what I try to do is be supportive, keeping people's dreams alive, and saying, here, this is what we can think about. Let's learn about Tuscany. And so that's slowly what I'm trying to do. Also with other things, I'm teaching online, doing voice lessons, breathing, movement, relaxation, with mindful breath and life coaching. So I do a few things, but they're all intertwined.
Yeah, I like the way how you connect the dots, and how do you find like what people really want when they travel somewhere, not just like have the template and everybody doing the same, but how they can have that experience and lifestyle. I found you have a beautiful voice. So how are you helping people?
Well, as a voice teacher, what I think is very important, often people, even with their children, I often see friends, oh, can you hear my daughter sing? We think she's really off tune. But, Ed, that is a story, and I know that you have a musician in your family, that is so common. First of all, who is to judge? And I will say this, I have to say this as a premise. It's never too late or too early to be great at something. Okay, so I live by that. All right, because we can always change, as long as there's a will, there's a way. But so let me get back to that other thing, is that what will happen, I'll have a friend say, again, listen to my daughter, she's off tune. So my friend sings a little note and then says, well, listen to her, sing the note. And the daughter just has that little high voice. She's not off tune. She just can't tune into the mother's voice that's maybe a little lower. And so I try to take that away, first of all. Strong, but they're very insecure about this desire that they have to sing. Singing is very archaic. It's the first instrument, right? Yeah. And so let me tell you about this, because this is interesting. Singing, especially for adults and also young adults, since they feel very vulnerable, when they come to me, they want to talk a little bit first because they're a little nervous. I'm going to have to use my voice. She's going to ask me to do something, oh my gosh. And so then they start chatting, and so I get to learn about them. And then I kind of see their philosophy and how they feel about themselves and how they present themselves. And so really, what do I do the first thing? If it's you and I online today, I can already kind of tell a little bit about your voice. It's pretty high, it's pretty good. But the posture, right? And that's one thing. And so we do mindful breathing. And I've done that also online. I'll have to do that for our group. It's really important right now. Mindful breathing, keeping those lungs in good shape. And that's also to relax. And then relax the tension that we have in the muscles of the shoulders and the neck. Because most people, they start singing like this. Well, you can't, because this is your instrument here, right? We have to be careful with that. And so we get over that. And then finally we sing a note that I always sing with people. Well, everyone can sing. Everyone cannot be a professional singer. Okay, that is just the law of nature. I didn't create that. Nature is not just in some things like that. Then we have to find what they're good at. Everyone has a uniqueness. Sometimes I'm kind of getting into singing a little bit, but sometimes I think this is important also to know. Sometimes just because of somebody went to church somewhere and they sang a certain way, that's in their muscle memory. And so, they're chanting, they can't get rid of that. And sometimes that's a little bit in the ear and we can never get over that. Or somebody could be very wonderful in certain things, but then they're mimicking somebody, and that's why they're wonderful in that thing, but that's not their natural. That's not who they are. That's not who the voice really is. And so I try to find that. I try to find it. What's their uniqueness? If there is a defect, almost everybody, because every instrument, right, is not perfect, and neither is the voice. So we just have to find out. There's a little tiny defect here. So if that defect can get better and better, and then if we just make a painting around that, and so we don't even hear the defect anymore. And then the way I look at it today, I used to think more like that, but how many things do we love in the world that maybe was defectful of somebody else, the artist? They hated that and we love it. So I just say, hey, if it feels good, it's natural and it's artistic and spiritual, then I think that it's the right thing to do. And we found something. We found a rhythm. We found something to do together. And so that's really voice. And so what happens is that when people start hearing their voice and their real voice, it's an emotional experience. I've had it where, oh my goodness, or they think that they're alto, right, low voice, and then all of a sudden they start singing high notes with me. Oh my goodness, and women especially love that. Voice was used, of course, seduction. Hey, here I am, right? Especially the high note.
And you mentioned that you have the courses. 1 month, 3 months, and 6 months, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do that. I do that in Italy when we can see each other at a school. Of course, I've been doing that online. And so, what is it? 1 month could be for somebody who just says, "I want to see if I can stay on tune. I want to use my voice for self-esteem." Like you said before, to have the voice maybe be more beautiful. It's very, very often people don't use their breath well. They start talking way down here on the chords, especially people that think they have a really good voice. Very, very often they start saying, I can't really sing, it's late night here. But they're kind of like the tongue is back on the larynx, and I think the voice sounds really. And so I try to get that. Yeah, it's crazy. There's all these things. I try to get that away. And so we can just find the natural sound. Because what the most beautiful thing is, what everybody's inspired about, when you hear whoever you love, I don't know, I'm thinking of the Rolling Stones, like Mick Jagger, all those notes that we love by him, it's a little overtone, it's a little shimmer. That's what's so special about his particular voice. Now imagine if some voice teacher that didn't know who he was going to be said, no, no, no. And so I try to really be careful of uniqueness of the voice, the type of personality the person has, right? Mm-hmm. Because not everybody can go and do opera. That's a discipline. You have to be, you have to need that. Not everybody is going to be the prima ballerina, right? And so maybe they could be a great jazz dancer, modern dancer, or a great jazz singer, a great gospel singer, a great pop singer, rock singer. And so I really believe that there's a basic technique, right? To me, everybody who wants to go study an instrument should play piano for a year. But that's my mentality. If you're going to be a dancer, you need to at least ballet for a year or two. It's just the position. So I also think a little bit about voice like that. But so let me get back to the courses. 1 month course, we're going to breathe together. We're going to do relaxation, okay, for the posture, for the neck, And especially now, right? We're on the computer all day. So I really do also positioning of the neck, because we're very often like this or we're like this. And so it's really affecting posture. I want to see one day, maybe we won't be alive anymore, but how we're all, if you're sitting on the subway, everyone's looking down. It's really the neck. And so I do a lot of relaxation of the neck, the jaw. And that's the first thing, is that we always lower the jaw for the sound, and just have people being very aware of their feet on the ground, the breath, the column of air, the shoulders down, and the emission of their sound. And so that's always just, who needs that? They're always very enlightened by it. And so in a month, we do that, and we vocalize together, and I find their voice and their uniqueness. And then, I might not be the right person. I have a certain method, right? If they don't want to study, say, with the French ballet teacher or the Russian ballet teacher, right? Maybe they need to do something else, and that's fine. And I try to direct them to the right thing. 3-month course would probably be more for like a younger student who's not really sure where they want to do. They want to do conservatory, they want to do Broadway, because in Italy, right, I coach Broadway music, and sometimes little kids want to come to me, we could just do some pop songs, and I just kind of coach them through it, and it's more about self-esteem, stage presence, and being in the moment. And then, of course, opera singers who work on the repertoire, and I see if I feel like they're in the right repertoire. And then if it's not my specialty, I would definitely send them to somebody who knows that music. Art song is different. Art song can sometimes be transposed. And so if they're going to do that, then we can see what their voice is going to do, what they love. Maybe they can find a new music or a new sound that they like and work on together. So I have a variety of things that I do for that. 6 months is really more for somebody who needs life coaching, breathing work, relaxation, and self-esteem, and also they might be doing something else. Music could be their relaxation, right? It could be somebody who works in the bank, wants to come and use their voice, somebody who is an architect but wants to use their voice, and they want to sing on the weekend, or they want to sing in their choir, or they want to sing in church well. And so that's what that's for. And then, of course, I have students that have been with me for 4 or 5 years or more.
And how people who want to try to work with you, or how they can find information about this one free 6 months? Is there a website or social media? What is the best way for them?
But I work. I would say the best place for them is find me on Facebook, Olivia Dove Anthony, and that's who I am on Facebook. They can find me with you. And then, of course, on my page, that's really more for tourism. But I just think they should find me on Facebook. So no, you're right. I don't have, because I created that this year in the pandemic. So yeah, you are right. And I haven't done that. I will, Ed. I will update you.
Okay, but so far they can find you on Facebook, and they can connect you with you.
I'm on Instagram and also LinkedIn. So they can. It's always Olivia Anthony, and they can find me in all those 3 places.
Okay, that sounds great. And my last question is, since this year is all about keep our health, and so what do you do to relax yourself? Share a little bit more about how you relax yourself during this.
You really want to know all this stuff? Oh my goodness. Okay, well, to me, every day is different. First of all, we have to stay positive. So that's one thing. You have to know what you need to do to protect yourself and do it. All right, and keep the mind positive. What am I doing? I'm learning and doing discipline. I'm doing Kundalini yoga online with somebody from London, and so that's a huge difference from, say, my grandparents from the Spanish flu in 1918 in New York. Right, my grandparents were alive there, because we have internet. I'm doing online coffee with friends, online cocktail with friends, or an alcoholic cocktail. And what would be my music? Well, I have a little a little electronic friend in the kitchen. I'm doing and so she plays music with me while I'm cooking. So say one day I'm going to cook, and I'm going to cook a ton of food and sometimes freeze it. So one day I'll be cooking, right? One day I'll be singing, and of course then I'll have to teach sometimes online. What would I sing? Definitely something Schubert. That would be my go-to. What I don't know. Depends on what I feel like. I want to, because for me the music is feeling it inside, the vibration of that era. And if you can't sing it, listen to it.
Olivia, thank you so much for sharing your story, and how you always succeed to have a parallel like art part and the business part and put it all together, which I think is a great mix for you and for the people who are working with you closely. And also encourage all people who are watching this interview, please be free to reach out to Olivia if you want to have a great voice teacher, or if you want to prepare yourself for the time after this pandemic to visit Italy and Tuscany again. I think Olivia can create a great tour for you as well. So thank you so much. It's a great pleasure to have you in our community, and I really appreciate your time and that you share with us how you always find a way to be happy and to create new happiness for others. That's amazing. I think that's the way to go, and appreciate you. And let's keep in touch, and looking forward to see your happy students. And if you have any performance, anything you would like to share, please be free to do so.
I will. Thanks, Ed. Good luck with everything, and I'm happy to be part of the community. Thanks again for your time.